fellow beautiful human beings of the internet. My name is Raghavans, and today we're going to be going over 5 tips to get non-photographers to take great photos. Now, the title might be a bit confusing at first, so let me clear the air. We all know that feeling as photographers, and if you're a non-photographer, stick around because you might learn something from this video as well. But we all know that feeling as photographers. We're walking around the city, we're maybe taking photos of the architecture, we're walking around the park, we're taking photos of our friends, and we realize we kind of need good photos of ourselves. Maybe for our profiles, maybe for a resume, maybe for a clothing brand we want to advertise, maybe just because you want some. Now obviously you can take self-portraits, but that's not always the most convenient, and it's quite difficult to do that outside of your own home. So you give your camera to your friends and you ask them to take good photos, but you don't know how to direct them, or they don't understand how a camera works, and that's where this video can come in and help with for you and for the person that's going to be helping you taking photos. So let's move into the first tip on how you can get non-photographers to take better photos, and more specifically better portraits. Okay, so cut that. So just before we get into the first tip of the day, I went out with my sister and I asked if she could take photos of me. So we strapped the GoPro on and I gave her the camera, but before we even went out and started shooting, and this is where our first tip comes in, I explained to her roughly how the camera works. And that's our first tip. You don't have to explain every single element of the camera and how to change the frame rate when you're recording video and what this knob does and how to change this, just the basics. Luckily she already understood the triangle of photography, which is ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, which made it a little bit easier. So all I had to do was roughly show her which button changes the shutter speed of the camera, and then you can understand really quickly. Okay, so this is a 50mm, so we're always going to be very far zoomed in, so you're probably going to be standing very far away from me, like for a lot of the shoot. And then it's touchscreen, which is easy enough. So you know shutter speed, ISO, aperture. So this is the ISO, we want to keep that as low as possible sort of thing. And then this is the aperture, but we'll just keep it at 1.8 because it gives us the best depth of field. And then depending on like the lighting outside, we can change that later. Tip number 2 is knowing your angle. Similarly to where if you're taking a photo of the model, this is going to be the exact same but just opposite. I don't know if that made sense. You're a photographer and you know what angles in a portrait looks good and which ones don't. You know that an angle from the bottom facing upwards is going to make the subject feel really powerful and strong, makes the subject feel like they have authority. And if you're shooting them from down, it's going to do the exact opposite. It's going to make them feel small, it's going to make them feel vulnerable. And you know these different kinds of angles. So all you need to do is direct your photographer into the positions that will get you the angles that you want. So a lot of the times when I was taking photos with my sister, I asked her if she could crouch down and do a shot leading upwards. I want to get a shot from like the bottom up, coming up.
Okay.
And then kind of like near the subject. Did some shots where I asked her to use the bench as leading lines. Maybe try and get it to this is like a leading line towards me, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Okay.
And it's all about kind of picturing the frame without being behind the camera. And that can also really help your photography by knowing the frame before you even have the camera. So that is tip number 2, knowing your angles. Tip number 3 is communication and confidence. Now this could have obviously been 2 different tips, but for the sake of this video I'm putting them into one because I think it takes a bit of both to do them both. Now communication, you need to be able to communicate your angles and what you want the photographer to do. You need to be able to tell them, can you crouch down, can you put an angle up, can my face be the center of the photo, because they need to understand what you are trying to tell them. If you don't communicate your ideas properly and you don't communicate what you're trying to tell them properly, they're just going to end up getting off, and you're going to end up getting frustrated, and then you both are just going to have a big fight, and then this is not going to be any fun, and then nobody's going to enjoy the whole process. And that's what photography is, enjoying the process. Obviously you need to be confident as well within this, because you need to be able to, once the photographer is in the angle, you need to be able to know how to pose, know how to do what you do and what you tell other people to do. Can you take one from down here as well?
Yeah.
I trust. Because as a photographer, you're always telling your models to pose in a certain way. You know what looks good, you know what angles look good, and especially for yourself, because you know yourself the best and better than anybody else. And obviously this will come with experimentation, but that's where we move on to step 4, which is check your photos. It's always good to every now and again, and at least for this, every like 10-20 photos, go back to the camera and check the photos out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh my god, that looks so good. Okay, can I see them quickly?
Yes.
That looks so good.
What they don't know what you want, so you need to go check back the photos and say and look and see, maybe it was underexposed, maybe the shutter speed wasn't high enough, maybe my pose wasn't perfect, so maybe we can just try and get that a little bit more, maybe the focus was out, so maybe this is what we could do to better it. Now when you're checking the photos, do not go and look at them and then look at the person taking the photos and say, this looks like shit, because that's just going to make the person feel shitty, and then they're going to not perform their best, and then they're just going to feel really bad. And that goes back to being communicating, because now you're both just going to get frustrated with each other, and that's not what photography is about. Finally, if you start to get confidence in the person starting to learn the camera about halfway through the shoot, you'll find yourself checking the photos less and less because you're starting to trust their ability to take the photos. And tip number 5, as obvious as it seems, just don't be a don't be rude, do positive enforcement. If you're looking at a photo and it's not quite what you want, don't be like, this is horrible, just be like, this is great, but let's just change this up. Can we try it one more time like this?
I love it.
Dis ek baie goed, ja.
Great. Oh.
Ja, daai ene is soos uitfokus uit. Dis ek nah.
Oh, but they look great, dude. They look so good. The cards. Okay, I just want to take one more of the anaconda.
Moet ek so?
Do exactly what you did for just this now.
Okay.
The exact same one.
This whole thing can also be a really good experience to help teach one of your friends how to take photos, and maybe they get into photography because of this. But with that all said, that is officially the 5 tips that you can use to help get non-photographers to take better photos of yourself and hopefully teach somebody more about photography and get them into it. Before we end this video and before you click off, I'm going to end it with a few minutes of POV photography of my sister taking photos of me, and then you can kind of see how all these ideas come into play and what kind of photos we got and the amazing results you can actually get from this. So, without further ado, here's some POV photography.
Okay, record.
Okay, cool.
I think I might want to start with just a photo in the road here where just no car coming. I'm going to take like a few with my mask and can you stand in the middle of the road as well? Oh, another car.
Okay.
Come closer, and then I want to get a shot from like the bottom up, coming up,
Okay.
and then kind of like near the subject still. Okay? And then,
Okay, jy pas nie so nie.
okay, try and get like, so that my foot is like kind of at the bottom of the frame.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like down this angle here. Yeah, and then let's just make it a bit darker so we can get the sky in.
Ja.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Wil jy jou hele liggaam in hê?
Yeah, as much as you can. Take some like vertical as well when you get some of them horizontal. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, so I want to do one vertically at the start street from about here, but in the center of the road.
Okay. Okay, wat doen jy met jou masker?
I'm gonna hold it for now.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Okay. Really trigger happy, I love it.
Wag, ek wil net gou 'n foto net van jou outfit neem. Ek gaan nou die hele bench inkry. Yes, bro. Jeez.
Thank you for alles.
Now that is officially the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. You guys are amazing. Last week's watch till the end shout out was Zhenya Marchenko, which is a good friend of mine and watches all my videos, and I really appreciate her. She said you should definitely do more challenges. I enjoyed seeing you panic and rush. I will definitely do more photography challenges and things like that in the future. Thank you so much for watching till the end. You really mean the world. And if you're watching till the end, you are amazing. You're literally the coolest person ever. And if you want to be next week's watch till the end shout out, all you got to do is comment this abbreviation in the beginning of your comment, followed by the answer of, would you guys like to see more photography related things or more performance related things, or do you just enjoy the vlogs? Let me know by just leaving this abbreviation down below, and answering that question for me would mean the world. And with that all said, be artistic, stay off the wall, and just create some more. See you next time.
Corazon. Gun finna jump for this shit. All top when I speak, all cap with the speech till they caught up in the rapture. I'm so out of line with the phrase game. Let's take a break, been a long day. Hit your line, what you fall through with the nightsticks. Maybe help me spark the ideas. We got nowhere else to go, it's only up from there.